Hello there, welcome to Genesis Models. My name is Mr.Weathering and welcome to this tutorial on streaking effects. We do have two lovely builds here. This is the Airfix Jaguar and the Edard Zero, where we've done a whole bunch of different ways of doing streaking effects to nicely show you all the different ways. We're going to be looking at, we have the oil brushes. These are by Ammo, a nice easy way of doing oils. We do have the MrWeathering Liners. These are like sort of weathering pencils. We're going to look at them. We do have normal streaking effects using enamels. This is by Ammo or AK, they all do them as well. And we've got Tamiya's weathering master set to show you as well. So we've got a lot of different ways of doing streakings to show you, so let's get on with it. So our first technique here is going to be using Mir Jimenez's oil brushes. Now these are oil type paints, so even Lung or any kind of oil type paints will do it. It's the same effect. We're going to be using ochre and starship filth with this one to start with. What you'll notice is, you know, with these, they're kind of like eyebrush eyeliner kind of things, but like it comes with a little paintbrush and it just makes everything quite nice and convenient. So we're just going to brush a little bit on here in a sort of a general streak direction. As you can see, pretty kind of easy on that one. Maybe just for later we'll come out with the starship filth to show another way of doing this technique. Now I'm going to start off with what I prefer, right? Just because it's really easy. We're just going to get out a dry brush. This one's by Citadel, but basically you want to brush and you don't want to use any kind of thinners for this particular technique. You just want to keep your brush nice and just dry, right? It needs to be dry. We don't want to be shall we say, kind of getting anything moist and rehydrating, stuff like that. And all we have to do with this technique, which is why I like it, is we could just brush up and down like so, and we just blend that in. After a little bit, we just want to get out a kitchen paper towel, and we just want to sort of clean the brush. Again, not with thinners. That's the thing with this technique. It's just all about keeping your brush dry, and we clean it by brushing whatever's on the brush onto a kitchen paper towel, and we can basically keep just blending that in. Now admittedly, this technique might not be, shall we say, the best for a good solid streak, right? But you do get some really nice kind of big sort of feathered type streaks with it, and as you can see, it is so easy. So we got a bit going on there, right? But we could do with tidying that up. So cotton wool bird, you know, so we've gone a little bit over, right? So we can clean that up, right? So we show the direction of where this is coming from. I've maybe gone a bit over that side. I mean, we could start bringing this into a point if we wanted to, but we could just leave that as just a nice feathered big streak. As you can see, that isn't so bad. Now coming to our other way of doing a streak. Now this is where we actually use thinners. This is where we play with it and we try and get like quite a sharp pointed streak to it. So I'm just going to come out with a flat brush. I find a good one for this, a number 2 flat brush, just there, and we want to come in with, if I just find it, some odorless turpentine. This is what I've got here. This is by Lung 502. I have found that like AK, Ammo, even odorless enamel thinners, they all seem to be good for this kind of stuff. I don't really notice anything major. So we're just going to get a dip into this, right? I'm just going to touch a kitchen paper towel, right? Because I don't want it to be over flooded. I don't want it to just blast all over the place and spread, right? We want to keep it a bit localized. So we can now, I like to just do a couple of passes, nothing too much on that. Right, as you can see, there's already a streak that's just starting there. Sorry, that's my phone. And now I'm just going to sort of clean my brush, right? And we want to sort of let this dry. This is where it gets a little bit slow. I'm just going to kind of clean up around the edges, i.e. reduce focus, you know, again, remove so it's, you can see where this streak's coming from. Must have had a bit too much on my brush because there's a little bit of a drip coming down there, so I'm just going to tidy that up. And then we want to let it dry. All right, and what we want to do is we let it dry and we do exactly what we just done, about 1 or 2 passes just to kind of get the streak going. But because we can just literally, like, 1 or 2 more passes with our brush could literally destroy that streak and completely remove it and be crystal clear clean. You just want to do 1 or 2 passes and let it dry, and then do another pass, and just keep, as I say, keep your brush moist. As I probably had a bit too much on there, and you kind of just play with it. So this is dried a bit. I mean, I probably should let it dry a bit more, but you kind of play with it, so you can have your brush like so and just sort of try and make that point in the streak a bit pointier. You can turn your brush as well. Again, I should probably let this dry, but just to speed things up. And the more we sort of just play with it and just touch it, hopefully you can start to see how we get those streaks in there. As I say, it's a bit more effective when you just let it dry. So those are the first 2. The next one we're going to come in with is the MrWeathering liners. These are rather good as well. They're kind of, shall we say, really sort of easy. You kind of get a sort of nice sharp edge to it. And what we do is with this one's more of a, you make the streak kind of now and then you sort of blend it a little bit. But let's just take this nice 0 we're working on just here. And I'm not putting them in any sort of particularly realistic place, right, but hopefully you could probably just see them a little bit better. Now with these we can just jump straight into it. We're just going to get a flat brush, right, just dip it into a little bit of water, and what we can do is just begin sort of streaking these in the right way, and the water will just sort of begin to activate, so we can take lots of passes with this one. Alright, and we can use the tip just to get the streak going in that right direction that we want. And then we could do a little bit of a clean up with a cotton wool bud, a little bit moist, maybe sort of get rid of that little bit of mess around the edges, right, and we can get some fairly nice streaks going on just there. They are really easy, maybe not as feathered as the sort of enamels and the oils kind of technique, but as you can see, those are really easy, good beginner kind of ones. And if you just want to quickly just get some streaks down, again, like all of these, if you've got a gloss coat down, if you don't like it, right, we can just keep rubbing at it and they do disappear. You know, so it's good to put it on a gloss coat. We can get all them streaks just to disappear like so. So on to the next one. Now we're going to go into enamels now. So with the enamels we do have AK, ammo, they all do like a streaking grime, and there's like all sorts of kind of streaking, different colors, rust streaking, rain mark streaking and all that kind of stuff. They all work the same way, but we're using enamels. So we're going to give this a good shake, and with a paintbrush we're now going to just dip into there, and we're going to try and do, you know, as nice of a streak as we can, but we don't have to worry too much, right, because the blending comes later. But if we get a couple of streaks like that, what we want to do is let this dry, because if we start trying to blend this now, we're just going to destroy it. We let it dry for maybe like 10-15 minutes or something, and we'll start blending. We now have some odorless enamel thinners, right? You kind of want to stick with the manufacturing thinners really in these cases. Don't go off and buy things like white spirits or anything like that. Again, coming in with the flat brush, we're going to dip our brush into the enamel thinners, but then on a kitchen paper towel, we're just going to now sort of make the brush damp, not flooded. Now when we streak across this, what we want to be doing is, I like to just do about 2 passes in both directions, because I don't want to, I'll just show you on this one, I don't want to kind of brush too much, because what's going to end up happening is we're going to brush it, if we brush in the direction of flow, we're going to brush it away from the point of origin. So hopefully you can see that's moved away from there. So we do want to stroke back that way to keep it in the point of origin. But also, if we stroke too many times, as you can see, we can begin to just obliterate that till it's, you know, almost disappeared. So I kind of like to just stick with, like, do 2 passes and then let it dry. I mean, maybe we could just tidy the point of origin up a little bit and around that area, but I like to just let that sort of dry now. And also kind of like keep cleaning your paintbrush as well, right? Because we don't want to be just moving this around, we want to get that streak point. So we're just going to dab that. Sometimes if you're really steady, you can sort of have, you can paint, let's get you focused, you can sort of paint it so that it is, the streaks look kind of good. If you've got a steady hand, right, it just means that we're just probably not going to have to do as many passes, right? But as you can see, you can quickly sort of destroy that. So I'm just going to clean up the edges, right, and them are, you know, basically done. I mean, let's just get that rotated in the light, because with we've painted them on carefully. We've only had to do a couple of passes and that's it. They're basically done. Maybe I kind of like applied too much pressure, right, because they've almost disappeared. Maybe that, but they're basically done now. So these we just want to let to dry, and then we'll give these another pass. So with these dry again, we could just do another quick 2 passes, right, maybe 3, right, and we could sort of again sort of begin to get these going. We might want to sort of make the tip a little bit more, right, so we can just very carefully try and streak either side, not going over the streak, but just sort of, you know, close to the streaks, like so. Clean up the point of origin, right, again these maybe could do with a bit of a side to side just to tidy that up, right, and hopefully, sorry, I think you might have gone on focus there, but hopefully you can just see that we've got some cool streaks there, and they're quite nice and feathered and a bit more realistic than, say, those Mr. Weathering liners, right. So there's a nice bunch of streaks. Last one we're going to show you, right, I do like this one because it's easy, right, good for beginners, right. This is the Tamiya Weathering Master Set, right. I do like these don't give you sharp streaks, they kind of give you those kind of very feathered streaks, right, and they're really good for that. I like to use their, what is it, their orange rust, right, kind of, yeah, let's get you on camera. I like to use their orange rust just here, and we sort of load up our little brush that comes with it. And what we can do is, it's just kind of little things like, we can just simply just brush across this, and we get this very sort of feathered streak going on just there. I like to do it by the wheels, and sometimes on ailerons and stuff we can just give that a little bit, and we get these kind of nice feathered streaks going on just there. Very easy to do, and kind of like combining this with any kind of sharp streaks you want to do, either enamels, oils, or the weathering liner pencils, right? You could combine them with that. You could maybe put like a nice sharp streak in the middle of that kind of feathered streak, and you can get some cool effects from that. But that is all of our streaking effects. So we now have a nice bit of a final reveal of all these streaking effects after the models have been finished. So just looking at where we used our ammo, what is it, the weathering, what is it, the oil brushers, right? We do have those streaking effects on there, which, as you can see, that now they're done, we do have this nice feathered sort of pattern going on there, as well as, a bit hard to see, right, we have the sort of more sharper streak as well. I do find that these oils and enamels are quite similar. I do find oils are a little bit more sort of forgiving and a bit easier, and you can sort of play around with them a lot more, but there are some of those streaking effects using those oil brushes just on there. Over to, let's just get her out, the Zero. If we just throw this with the I do find with the matte coat on as well, when it comes to streaking, is sometimes you've got to be careful, because sometimes these colors can sort of come out a bit more once you've got that matte coat on, so you might kind of have to be careful, like maybe not go as intense as you maybe want to, because they're probably going to come out a little bit more once you've got the matte coat on, just as a little tip. But hopefully, as you can see, we do have I do believe this side was our enamels. As you can see, that's quite feathered and quite fine compared to this side where we used the weathering pencils, right? They hopefully, as you can see, it's kind of maybe a little bit grittier, not so feathered, but it's one of these things, like you do seem to get a better result with those enamel washes, but it is so much more easier to use things like these MrWeathering liners, and to use the Tamiya weathering master set, because again, here is the Tamiya. As you can see, really cool effects, getting those big broad sort of feathered in streaks on there. So it's one of these things now, it's kind of down to you guys. I do recommend, if you're just starting out, you know, the Tamiya weathering master set and the MrWeathering liners, really cool and easy to get started with. And as you get more competent, going into say enamels and oils, you get better results, but it's a bit more work, and you know, you got to be a bit more careful and put a bit of practice in. But with all these techniques, if you put them on a gloss coat, right, you can just rub them all the way and start again. You've got no problems there. I mean, if you do kind of put them on a matte surface, it's going to be a bit harder to rub them out. Sometimes a matte surface is kind of good because you want it to sort of grip to the surface, but not in all cases. But yeah, that is basically it, and hopefully you've learned a lot, and hopefully you go try out all these techniques and even combine them together to make even more effective streaking effects. But as always, until next time, my name is Bobby Waldron, this is James Models, and I hope you've enjoyed.